What happens when anger makes a very bad decision? I used to work at a rent-to-own company I'll call Rental Center. In my state, these businesses are not looked at very kindly, so the company used a system to get around that. They offered a rental term, and at the end of that term, your last few payments would turn into a loan. Once you paid that off, the item became yours. When you first signed up, you got a 90-day price. If you didn't finish paying within those 90 days, you had to continue with long-term payments, which could end up costing almost 4 times more. Customers could bundle items together to make weekly payments smaller. You could return any item at any time, but if you wanted it back later, you had to start the contract from the beginning. Our store bought items on credit. As customers made payments, we paid off what we owed. For example, if we bought something for $500 and a customer had already paid most of it, we might only owe $50. If that customer returned the item, we could rent it again at full price, even though we only owed a small amount on it. One day, a very difficult customer, let's call her Karen, called and asked us to pick up a stove. We went, picked it up, and brought it back without any issues. About a week later, I was doing inventory and noticed the stove wasn't listed in our store records. I checked the system and realized the stove was part of a package with 2 other items, but the account representative had not handled it properly. The other 2 items were still at her home. We had a strict rule. If something was returned, it had to be physically brought back into the store before it could be counted as inventory. That meant I had to collect the other 2 items before I could fix the contract. I knew this would be inconvenient, so I checked the account. It turned out we only had about $120 left to pay on those items. I decided to help her out by offering both items to her for $120 on a 90-day same as cash deal. This would save her a lot of money. My plan was simple. Pick up the items, bring them back to the store, process them, create a new contract, and return them to her within an hour. I called Karen to explain the situation. Before I could even tell her about the deal, she started shouting. She called me and the company incompetent and used a lot of insulting language. The call lasted about 20 minutes, with me trying to explain and her not letting me speak. She skipped asking for a manager and went straight to yelling. Finally, she said, "Come get everything!" I tried again to calm her down, but she repeated it. So I said, okay, and decided to do exactly what she asked. Karen didn't realize what everything meant. She had a fridge, a window AC, the stove, a full living room set, 2 TVs, 2 more window AC units, a bed, and even lamps. She had been paying on these items for a long time, and some were almost fully paid off. She was about to lose all of it. I took another employee with me and drove to her home. Her husband answered the door. I still feel bad for him. He was very kind. I explained that Karen had told us to collect everything. He apologized for her behavior and let us in. Karen wasn't home. I tried to explain the deal to him, hoping he could help calm things down, but he said it was better to just do what she wanted. We quickly started loading the truck. Just as I was about to remove one of the AC units, I heard her arrive. She came in shouting along with a friend. At the door, I heard her insult her husband in a very harsh way. He said nothing, as if he was used to it. Not wanting to carry the AC through the house while she was yelling, I carefully pushed it out of the window and planned to pick it up from outside. My coworker went back to the truck as she shouted at him. When I came outside, she turned her anger toward me. She demanded to know why we were taking her things, using more insults. I calmly said, "You told me to come get everything," twice. Then I walked past her, still calm. She shouted that I needed to bring everything back right away. I picked up the AC unit and told her, "I'm sorry, I can't do that. Once it's on the truck, it has to go back to the store for inventory and inspection. After that, we can talk about a new contract." While I finished loading, she continued shouting insults. I simply responded with calm words like, "Okay," and "I understand," all while smiling. The calmer I stayed, the angrier she became. When we were done, I smiled, waved, and said, "Have a nice day." She shouted one last insult, and I replied calmly, "You too," then drove away. That day, I learned something important. Nothing makes an angry person more frustrated than staying calm and polite when they expect you to lose your temper.